Hello, my name is Mike, and in this video you join me in the 2021 Mercedes-Benz GLA 250. This is the least expensive crossover SUV that you can buy from the brand. However, because it's the cheapest, does it still feel like a Mercedes-Benz vehicle? Well, let's go for a drive and find out. While it is the least expensive crossover you can buy from the brand, it doesn't have the least powerful engine. That honor still goes to the A220. The 2-liter turbo engine in this GLA 250 produces 221 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That's a healthy amount, and the real sweet spot for this engine is between around 2,000 to about 4,500 RPMs. That's where the peak torque figure is sustained. Peak power is at around 5,500 RPMs, and it starts to lose puff as you get closer to the 6250 red line. But just upshift a little bit early and you'll be laughing at all the people in your rear view mirror. Unless, of course, they're driving an AMG vehicle. Fuel economy is not too bad. It is rated at 7.1 liters per 100 kilometers on a highway and 9.8 liters per 100 kilometers in a city with this 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. Currently, I've been averaging around 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers, so you can definitely achieve those targets. Swapping cogs is an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission. Beyond third gear, you actually don't even notice the shifts. They are that smooth. The only way that you'll know that it shifted is by noticing the RPMs drop. I'm not saying that the shifts are rough between first and second and third. I'm just saying that beyond that, you don't notice them. That's how smooth they are. One of the biggest complaints with previous iterations of Mercedes dual-clutch transmission has been setting off from a stop. It felt jerky and as though a novice was learning to drive a manual car for the first time. This 8-speed dual-clutch is much smoother when setting off from a stop. There is some hesitation if you stomp on the throttle, but if you're gentle, it's like driving a normal automatic. The GLA 250 was designed to be a city crossover, and as such, steering weight and effort is very light. It also has a very good turning circle. You can turn pretty much on a dime with this car. My only minor complaint about the driving experience of this GLA 250 are the brakes. They work just fine. They stop the car very well. It's just that the brake pedal doesn't quite have that same firmness as it does in other Mercedes-Benz vehicles. Granted, I will admit, over the past year, all other Mercedes-Benz vehicles that I have driven have either been AMGs or they've had the AMG or Sport package, which gives you upgraded brakes. This one has none of those. So, yeah, the brake pedal, it just feels, I don't really want to say mushy, but there's quite a bit of travel on it compared to the other Mercedes-Benz vehicles that I have tested. The 2021 GLA 250 is a tiny bit narrower than the outgoing model, but it still feels planted around corners. The crossover doesn't feel twitchy when driving over a bump midway through a corner. On highways, there's very little steering input required to keep the car going in a straight line, thus reducing strain on the driver. Although this is a base model of the GLA without any adaptive dampers, the suspension is well tuned to absorb most potholes and road bumps. You'll want to avoid really deep potholes, but the GLA will still deliver a comfortable ride over cracked city streets. On the inside of the GLA 250, it looks like any other Mercedes-Benz vehicle. You have the same 10.25-inch screens as many other Mercedes-Benz vehicles have, the same circular vents that have ambient lighting, and the same touchpad to control the infotainment system, although you can use the touchscreen or this little trackpad on the steering wheel. However, once you start to actually touch some of the materials, that's when you realize that you're in the least expensive crossover in the Mercedes-Benz family. I mean, okay, the upper portion of the cabin has soft plastics, but the lower part, that sounds very cheap. And this Artico leather-like seat upholstery, it just doesn't feel like leather. It feels very coarse and hard. I mean, the seats themselves are very soft and supportive, but the actual upholstery, it's not the greatest. However, this leather-wrapped heated steering wheel feels very nice to touch, and I also like the vents, how they feel when you turn them. They also have a very satisfying click. Hope you can hear that. In terms of space, up here in the front, there's plenty of it, even though the GLA has the least amount of headroom compared to the BMW X2 and the Volvo XC40. At 6'4", well, my hair is not brushing up against the headliner. And I have loads of legroom. I could even move the seat further back if I wanted to. In the back seats, the GLA does not have the most amount of legroom when you compare it against the XC40 and the X2. On paper, the X2 has the most amount of legroom. However, I am very tall at 6'4", and I am sitting behind my driving position. But if you are, let's say, 6 feet, and you're sitting behind someone that is 6 feet as well, there's actually quite a lot of legroom in the back. And further behind those back seats, the Mercedes GLA 250 has the least amount of cargo space at just 435 liters when you compare it against the XC40 and the X2. But fold those rear seats down and the Mercedes has the most amount of cargo volume with 1,430 liters. The cabin is decently quiet on city streets. There's minimal engine and road noise intrusion. When the speed builds up though, road noise is quite evident. Granted, this particular demo vehicle had winter tires, so all-season tires should be a little bit quieter on a highway. In base form, the GLA 250 comes nicely equipped with a panoramic sunroof, heated seats, LED headlights, a 7-inch touchscreen, push-button start, automatic emergency braking, and power front seats, just to name a few. Of course, these features vary slightly between the Canadian spec and the American spec GLA 250. At the other end of the spectrum, you can load up a GLA 250 with ventilated front seats, augmented reality navigation, head-up display, surround view cameras, Burmeister sound system, blind spot sensors, lane keep assist, and AMG body styling. For American buyers, you also have the option of fitting it with adaptive dampers. So, the GLA 250 definitely looks like a Mercedes-Benz vehicle, and it drives like one too. And you can even option it like a Mercedes. This 4MATIC starts at $42,400 Canadian. And if you're watching this in the United States, you don't have to have the 4MATIC. You actually can get it with just front-wheel drive for a little bit less money. However, if you fully spec up a GLA 250, you're looking at around $62,000 Canadian, which is quite a lot for something this small. The one that I would recommend is the GLA 250 4MATIC with the premium package and the heated steering wheel. If you live in a climate like how I do, where it's cold. But if you live somewhere in, let's say, the southern states, then you'll be okay with just a front-wheel drive version with the premium package and maybe ventilated seats. If you want to know more about this Mercedes-Benz GLA 250, I wrote a comprehensive and detailed review of it over on my website. You can find that link in the video description. And as always, I will see you in the next car or truck, or it's probably going to be another SUV. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.